Hello everyone. Welcome to the channel. Please subscribe with your notifications on and I'll be posting daily Teen Wolf content. Channels like Jade's Corner and Teen Wolf News inspired me to make content and I've been a Teen Wolf fan from the very start. Now let's get right into the video. We open on Allison driving and she's remembering her conversation with Kate about Derek and she finds out about werewolves. She tells Allison that there's another one like him, a beta, and the alpha is the pack leader and he's bigger, stronger and nastier and those are the real ugly ones. She asked Kate when they were going to tell her and Kate says they have not decided yet and if they react badly when they find out it's not good. There's flashing lights behind Allison and she gets pulled over by the sheriff and prior to that in the flashback Kate told her that she's going to help her catch the second beta. The sheriff asks Allison if she's alright and she apologizes for speeding and begs the sheriff to give her a ticket. She's crying and ranting to him. Allison is now seen practicing using her crossbow. Scott wakes up and Deaton asks him if he's okay. Deaton hears the door and goes out to tell Peter that he's closed. Peter says he's here to pick up and Deaton says he doesn't remember him dropping off. Peter says this one wandered in on its own. Deaton says even if it did he can't help because they're closed. Peter says he thinks he can make an exception this one time and Deaton said it's not going to be possible. Peter says he has something of his and he's here to collect it. Peter can't cross the door because of the mountain ash and he throws a chair at the wall next to Deaton. He doesn't flinch and says they're closed. In the next scene Scott is searching for his phone and he tells Stiles that he needs to find Derek because he can't protect Allison on his own. Scott overhears Melissa trying to reschedule with Peter and Scott tells Stiles that Melissa is crying. Kate is now seen talking to Derek and she's asking for the Alpha's identity as she takes Derek's money from his wallet. She then says Derek is not telling her because he wants to kill himself or he's protecting him. Kate starts going through Derek's phone for leads. Kate then says if he remembers all the fun they had together and he says like the time you burned my family alive and Kate says she was thinking about the sex they had and the fire thing too and she loves how much Derek hates her. She then gets another hunter to torture Derek and Allison is seen tossing and turning while Scott is outside of her window slowly falling asleep and he fell off the roof. In the next scene Coach is telling Scott that he can't go to the formal and they asked him to cut Scott from the team. And the compromise is he can't go to the dance. Scott says he quit the team and Coach said no and if he shows up to the dance he's going to drag him out by the teeth. Jackson is shocked that Scott asked him to take Allison to the dance. Jackson says screw him and Stiles and he then says that Scott left him for dead and Scott says he got shot for him and Jackson asked to see the bullet wound and Scott says he knows that it healed. Scott asks Jackson to keep an eye out for Allison because she's in constant danger and Jackson says he should ask her dad because he's the one equipped to deal with this. Then Scott says how is he going to do that without her dad finding out about him. Jackson says it's not his problem. Scott says he's her friend too and he can't let her get hurt. Then Jackson says what if he gets hurt and Scott says it's worth it. Then Jackson says not to me. He then intimidates Jackson with his abilities and scares him and Jackson agrees to go with Allison. Allison and Lydia are now at the mall and she tells Lydia that she has to cancel with anyone she planned to go to the formal with and go with Stiles instead. Peter then sees Allison at the mall and tells her that the dress she's wearing is not her color. Allison is freaked out by this. Peter begins to tell Scott that he can't be everywhere every time. Kate then tells Derek that if he's not gonna talk she'll have to kill him. Kate asks Derek if he told Laura about the truth about the fire. She says it's not his fault that he fell for a super hot girl that comes from a family who kills werewolves. She says history is repeating itself and she realizes that Scott is the second beta. Scott is now getting ready for the formal and Melissa has to repair his clothes. In the next scene Jackson arrives to the formal with Allison and he's drinking. Stiles arrives with Lydia and Allison sees Scott onto the roof. Stiles tells Lydia that she looks beautiful and everyone is now inside. Scott sees Coach then he sees Peter and he disappears. Allison asks Jackson if he wants to dance and he says do I have to? Stiles then asks Lydia if she wants to dance and she refuses. Then he said he's had a crush on her since the 3rd grade and he's the only one that knows how smart she is. She gets up to go dance with him and Coach sees Scott and he starts to run away. Scott then asks Danny to dance with him and Coach catches up to him and Coach can't say anything because he'll look homophobic. Scott and Allison are now dancing together and Jackson sees red eyes in the woods and he thinks it's the Alpha. Lydia and Styles are now on screen and she's looking for Jackson and she doesn't see him. Jackson is now in the woods looking for the Alpha and he says that he wants to be like him. The Red Eyes turns out to be Chris and the Hunter. Scott tells Allison that he loves her smiles and he tells her that he believes everything she said about Derek. Jackson tells Chris about Scott and Lydia is outside looking for Jackson. Jackson is inside and Styles bumps into him and asks him what's wrong. Lydia is now on the field and the lights turn on and Peter is walking towards Lydia and Styles tells her to run and Peter bites Lydia. Styles begs him not to kill her and Peter asks him to tell him how to find Derek. He threatens to rip Lydia apart and Styles tells him that if Derek still has Scott's phone they can find him. Scott and Allison are now outside and Allison goes onto the bus and Scott is cornered by Chris and the other hunters' cars. They both begin to drive towards Scott and Scott jumps up onto both cars and transforms and Allison sees him. End. Thank you all for watching.